During the first talks, I gave a brief outline of what I wanted to talk about in the terms of how to cultivate wisdom. Well, of course, a lot of people who listen to this have come back and asked me, what has it got to do with wisdom? Well, it's just a very structured series of talks that I'm going to give you. And I hope you understand that within 10 minutes, you're not going to learn wisdom. If it is so easy to get, I'm sure you would have Googled, you would have found information, you would have found out, and you don't need to listen to a dumb man like me to talk about it. The important part about wisdom is that, first of all, we must realize that wisdom is not knowledge. Wisdom is not something that you can get from the internet. You only can get wisdom through cultivation. Some people claim they are smart, but actually, most of these people, they are not smart by birth. If they are smart by birth, okay, they may be highly intelligent. But highly intelligent people who don't work hard ultimately are not wise themselves. So at the end of the day, a person may not be born intelligent, but if he diligently works very hard, this person may be very wise in the end. So wisdom is not about being born intelligent. Wisdom is not about being high in IQ. A lot of people are very high in IQ, but they learn to cheat, they learn to exploit others people, they take advantage of other people. So how wise can they be? My definition of wisdom is that you must use whatever knowledge that's accumulated in the society, from what you learn, and then internalize it, and ultimately, after that, change and transform your actions into benefiting everybody else. If it is solely to benefit yourself, that cannot be wisdom. That is probably being smart. Street smart people are not necessarily wise. Street smart people may create more opportunity of suffering if they only care for themselves. So that's why I started with saying that in the first place, do we have compassion? If you don't have compassion for somebody else, okay, you will never cultivate true wisdom. Well, you may be smart, you may be more intelligent, you may be not more knowledgeable, but you cannot be more wise. And if your wisdom doesn't benefit somebody else, then this is not true wisdom. So, the cultivation of compassion is very important. In the second part of my second talk, I ask people to reflect on impermanence. I ask people to look at why this world is an illusion and how we can use this concept of impermanence and illusion and how we can put this into life, how we can put this into this way of life. And I think that's important. This is a good example of cultivating a practice, understanding a practice, understanding a knowledge, and then apply that knowledge into your life. And by applying to that knowledge into your life, okay, you would then have some form of cultivation of compassion, and slowly the seed of compassion is being given in. And with that seed of compassion given in, whether you like it or not, wisdom will come. If you intentionally seek for wisdom, it will not come. It's just like marriage. If you intentionally seek for marriage, you do every action because you want to gain merit. There's no merits to it. Okay? Just like if you intentionally buy and farm animal and release into the wild and let them die and say that, oh, I don't care, as long as I release the animals, I have merits, despite of them dying, then I think there's no merits at all. So if you think that merit is an ATM machine where you can draw out, I'm sorry, that's not merit. The same with wisdom. There is no ATM machine for wisdom. You cannot draw wisdom like that. So you need to cultivate wisdom, and you first must cultivate compassion. That's at least what the Buddha said. Okay, without wisdom, compassion is meaningless. Without compassion, there will be no wisdom. Wisdom and compassion is like two wings of a bird. That means if you only have one right wing, you cannot fly. If you only have one left wing of compassion, you cannot fly also. You must have both wisdom and compassion in balance in order to attain enlightenment. So that's why the culture I explained about impermanence is important. And I think people who understand impermanence and who understand that this life is not a destination, because at the end of the day, everybody's destination is death. Okay, but it's about this path along the destination, and what actually are we cultivating in terms of wisdom and compassion. So the third talk, I mentioned a bit about why people are unhappy. Well, the whole purpose of this cultivation of wisdom, at the end of the day, must be for the purpose of happiness. If you live your whole life without the aim to reach happiness, you just want to be unhappy, then why are you even bothered about cultivating anything, whether wisdom or compassion, if ultimately at the end of the day you are unhappy and then you committed suicide along the way? That cannot be the reason why we are cultivating. So that is the reason. Wisdom is ultimate bliss. Wisdom is getting a peace of mind, a peace in our mind, and at the same time practicing it and remain steady state. The fourth talk, well, probably starts at the beginning and say, well, who is a teacher? What is he teaching? Who should be a good teacher? Who can be a teacher? What should be the motivation of the teacher? And what about the student? Who is a good student? What is the motivation of a student? What is the purpose of learning something? What is the purpose of listening? And then I say that as a student, you must have pure motivation in order to receive some form of a teaching. If your motivation or your intention to attend a teaching is wrong, then you will not receive the wisdom teaching in the lecture or the compassion teaching in the lecture. If people continue to go for classes with the aim of achieving immediate gain, or you want to get rich immediately, those get rich quick lecture that you always go there and get disappointed because they never have any things to teach you. Because your motivation going there is also wrong. You want to get, that it's impossible to get rich after one lecture, and yet you are motivated to go there with that in thinking. You are delusion, your self-deception, and end up you actually will not achieve your objective. If you have the pure motivation, and your pure motivation is to end your suffering, is to gain wisdom to end your suffering, and gain your wisdom to be happy, and then you must do it for the sake of everybody else, not just yourself, then with that motivation you attend a class. And then you must have faith in the teacher. If you don't have the faith in the teacher, don't attend that teaching, because it's a waste of your time. Because you think that this person is a con man, then don't, because you already make a pre-perception of what you will not get. And when you doubt, you don't get. Okay? And at the same time, when you have faith, okay, you have belief, you have some devotion, You respect the teacher, you listen to him properly, and if he's doing the right teaching and with the right motivation, you learn something along the way. And that's important. That's how you should approach when you every time when you attend a teaching. Not just to go there and make sure, oh, I'm going to make sure I'm going to be smarter than this teacher. This smart teacher is so stupid, you know. I have so much pride in myself. I have so much ego. Watch your ego, watch your pride. So is the teacher. The teacher needs to watch his ego and watch his pride when he teach too. So I think that's important. And setting that ground is very important because the subsequent few lectures that I'm going to deliver will be focusing on very different matter on the topic. And if you don't clear that motivation theory right and don't understand why you're doing what you're doing, then it will be a very big mistake. All this is not for my purpose. I'm basically recording this solely to remind myself too, I'm not perfect, and you shouldn't expect me to be perfect. And neither do I expect you to be perfect as a listener. Because at the end of the day, we all have different capacity to learn. We have different ability and we have different past life karma and merits accumulated to see whether we can actually understand each other to begin with. Having a chance to connect to you here is a good karma. Having a chance to even have you listening to this is a good karma. I could have recorded this for a long time and nobody could come to listen. And that's fine. Because at the end of the day, that's not my intention. My intention is not to spread all this. My intention is actually let people who needs to know, wants to know, and want to hear a little bit more, understand more. And this is my own personal notes and my own personal diary, and I'm willing to share it out with you so that if you benefit, I rejoice. If you don't, at least I rejoice at my own reminder. And at the same time, when I listen back, I actually learn something from my own ramblings. I think that should be the motivation. But if you of course think that this is a waste of time, then you should stop here. If it is a waste of time to you, then I hope you can continue to cultivate a way, and I wish you all the best in looking for the next teacher. Because you don't need to be with the kindergarten teacher until you reach PhD. In every stage of your class, you have different teacher along the way, and that's perfectly fine. But ultimately, among your class, in 10 years of your secondary school, from primary school to secondary school to pre-U to university, well, I probably went through 20 something years of education. And there are 20 something teachers or even more, you know, sometimes 1 year you have 5 teachers teaching various subjects. But of course there will be somebody that you like very much, my favorite teacher. And this favorite teacher is somebody you will probably go back every now and then. Even if you have gotten your PhD, you will still want to visit your favorite primary school teacher or your favorite secondary school teacher. And you will try to respect the person, and you would like to update the person how well you are doing. So I may be just your kindergarten teacher, maybe not even something that anybody would call me a teacher for. But I do have a lot of students who come back every year during Christmas, during Teachers' Day, during whatever day, and tell me, hey, I remember what you said, this, that. And I honestly tell you, I have no idea and no recording of what I said. Hopefully by now with a recording with this soundbite, I probably can remember, oh yeah, in your 4th lecture you say this, in your 5th lecture you say this. Then at least I have some documentation. But previously, honestly, I never had this. Give you an example. I have a student who came back and tell me, hey, I'm glad you taught me something that is very important for traveling. That is, I said, what? He says, well, you told us never to buy those duty-free chocolate. I said, did I? Are you sure? He says, yes, because you said that when you buy the duty-free chocolate, when you bring it up to the plane, you will all melt, and when you present it to somebody else over the side, the box looks very nice, and inside all rotten and all melted. And then he says, I did that once, and you know, those people over there in China laugh at me breaking in all the milk chocolate. It makes me so embarrassed. And then I remembered what you said. And that's why I never do it anymore. So there are things that I say sometimes I cannot even remember myself. My student did, And I'm glad he did. I'm glad he didn't make himself out of fool. I mean, he didn't make a fool out of himself, and everything was okay. So thank you for listening.